Welcome to the 7th episode of the Reality Transurfing Fundamentals Series. Today we'll explore a subtle but powerful force that shapes our lives, often without our awareness: the phenomenon of excess potential. You'll discover why wanting something too much can actually push it away, how the law of balance operates in the universe, and how to restore harmony so your desires can flow into your life with ease. Let's begin with a simple observation. Everything in nature strives for balance. The wind balances differences in air temperature. The tides balance the pull of the moon. Even in our own lives, periods of success are often followed by setbacks, and calm is followed by storm. This is not random. It is the law of balance at work, a fundamental principle that governs all of reality. But how does this law of balance affect our dreams, desires, and goals? Why do we sometimes find that the more we want something, the further it seems to slip from our grasp? The answer lies in the concept of excess potential. Excess potential is created when we assign disproportionate importance to something, whether it's a goal, a relationship, a possession, or even an idea. This heightened importance distorts the energy field around us, creating a kind of tension or bulge in the fabric of reality. Imagine you are standing safely on the floor in your home. You feel calm and at ease. Now imagine standing at the edge of a high precipice. Suddenly, the situation feels much more significant. Your fear and anxiety create an energetic imbalance. On an energetic level, standing is the same in both cases, but your mind has attributed enormous importance to the second situation. That excess potential draws in what reality transurfing calls balanced forces, unseen energies that rush in to restore equilibrium. These balanced forces are not malicious, but their methods are often harsh. They operate impersonally, like gravity or magnetism, and their goal is always to neutralize the excess potential you've created. If you're standing at the edge of a cliff, balanced forces might manifest as a strong urge to step back, or, in extreme cases, as a dangerous pull toward the edge. In life, these forces can show up as unexpected obstacles, setbacks, or even the exact opposite of what you intended. This is why people sometimes experience bad luck right after a streak of success, or why a cherished dream seems to elude those who want it most. The more importance you give to something, the more likely it is that balanced forces will intervene to restore harmony, often by taking that thing away or making it unattainable. To truly understand this phenomenon, we must dive deeper into how reality itself operates. According to Reality Transurfing, the universe exists as an infinite field of possibilities called the alternative space. This space contains every possible variation of events, circumstances, and outcomes. When you create excess potential through excessive importance, you essentially create a distortion in this field, like dropping a heavy stone into a calm pond. The ripples and waves that follow are the balanced forces working to smooth out the disturbance you've created. Think about water for a moment. When you try to push water with your hand, it flows around and away from the pressure. The harder you push, the more resistance you create. This is precisely how excess potential operates in your life. The universe, like water, seeks the path of least resistance. When you push too hard towards something, creating energetic pressure through excessive desire or importance, reality flows around your efforts, often carrying your goal further away. The physics of this phenomenon is remarkably consistent. Just as in thermodynamics, where heat flows from hot to cold until temperature equalizes, or in electricity, where current flows from high to low potential until the charge is balanced, the universe seeks energetic equilibrium. Your thoughts, emotions, and intentions carry energy. When you invest excessive emotional energy into something, you create an energetic, hot spot that the universe must cool, a high-pressure zone that must be equalized. This equalization process is what we experience as setbacks, obstacles, and disappointments. The universe isn't punishing us, it's simply following its most fundamental law. Understanding this removes the personal sting from life's challenges and helps us see them for what they really are: impersonal forces seeking balance. Excess potential is not just about positive desires. It can also be created by negative emotions, resentment, blame, worship, idealization, contempt, guilt, or feelings of superiority and inferiority. Anytime you inflate the value of something, whether positively or negatively, you create a disturbance in the energy field. Balanced forces will always seek to eliminate that disturbance, usually by undermining your efforts or creating unexpected resistance. Let's examine how excess potential manifests in different areas of life. In the realm of career and achievement, excess potential often appears as workaholism, perfectionism, or an obsessive need for recognition. The person who stakes their entire identity on their professional success creates a massive energetic imbalance. They might work tirelessly, sacrificing everything else, only to find that promotions elude them, projects fail unexpectedly, or their health collapses at crucial moments. Consider the story of a brilliant entrepreneur who built his entire identity around his business success. He worked 18-hour days, convinced that only through this superhuman effort could he maintain his empire. He viewed every moment not spent working as a betrayal of his potential. This created enormous excess potential. The balanced forces responded predictably. Key employees began leaving, citing his impossible demands. His health deteriorated, forcing him to step back at crucial moments. His family relationships crumbled. Eventually, the very business he'd sacrificed everything for began to fail, not from external competition, but from the internal imbalances he'd created. The universe was not punishing him, it was simply restoring equilibrium. The tragedy in such cases is that the person often interprets these setbacks as signs that they need to work even harder, creating even more excess potential. It becomes a downward spiral where increased effort leads to increased resistance, which leads to more desperate effort. Breaking this cycle requires a fundamental shift in understanding, recognizing that success comes not from force, but from flow. In the realm of relationships, excess potential takes many forms. When you idealize another person, placing them on a pedestal and believing you cannot live without them, you create excess potential. The universe responds by generating circumstances that either drive the person away or reveal their flaws, shattering the illusion. The same happens when you harbor intense dislike or hatred. Your focus on what you don't want attracts more of it, as balanced forces move to neutralize your emotional charge. Picture a young woman who falls deeply in love and becomes convinced that this one person is her entire world. She texts constantly, analyzes every word and gesture, and panics at the slightest sign of distance. Her excessive importance creates a suffocating energy that pushes her partner away. The more desperately she clings, the more he withdraws. She interprets this as a sign that she needs to try harder, creating even more excess potential. Eventually, the relationship collapses under the weight of her importance, leaving her devastated and confused. She never realizes that it was not her love that drove him away, but the energetic imbalance created by her desperation. The same principle applies to friendships. Have you ever noticed how the friends you're most anxious about impressing are often the ones with whom relationships feel most strained? Or how the people you're completely relaxed around become your closest companions? This is excess potential at work. When we try too hard to maintain a friendship, constantly worried about saying the wrong thing or not being good enough, we create an energetic tension that makes genuine connection difficult. Even family relationships are subject to these forces. Parents who place excessive importance on their children's achievements, living vicariously through them, create excess potential that often manifests as rebellion, underperformance, or emotional distance. The child feels the weight of the parent's expectations as an energetic pressure and instinctively pulls away or acts out to restore balance. This principle extends beyond personal relationships to our relationship with society itself. When we place excessive importance on social status, public opinion, or fitting in, we create excess potential that manifests as social anxiety, awkwardness, or rejection. The person who tries too hard to be liked often ends up being avoided. The one who desperately seeks approval rarely receives it. This is not because people are cruel or unfair, but because the energetic signature of desperation creates an invisible barrier that others instinctively sense and withdraw from. Consider the phenomenon of stage fright. A performer who places excessive importance on a particular performance, believing their entire career depends on it, creates such strong excess potential that their body rebels, hands shake, voice cracks, mind goes blank. Meanwhile, the performer who approaches the stage with joy and detachment, viewing it as simply another opportunity to share their gift, often delivers their best performance. The difference isn't in talent or preparation, it's in the energetic approach. The phenomenon of excess potential also explains why some of our most cherished goals seem perpetually out of reach. When we fixate on a specific outcome, whether it's a dream job, a perfect relationship, or a financial target, we create what might be called an importance trap. The more we tell ourselves that we must have this thing to be happy, the more excess potential we generate. The universe, seeking balance, creates obstacles and delays that seem almost deliberately designed to frustrate our efforts. This is particularly evident in the pursuit of wealth. Those who make money their god, who believe that financial success will solve all their problems and validate their worth, often find it maddeningly elusive. They might have brilliant ideas and work incredibly hard, yet somehow opportunities slip away, deals fall through, and money seems to evaporate as quickly as it arrives. Meanwhile, those who view money simply as a useful tool, who pursue wealth without desperation, often find that it flows to them with surprising ease. The same pattern appears in the quest for health and fitness. Someone who becomes obsessed with achieving the perfect body, who ties their self-worth to their appearance, creates significant excess potential. The balanced forces respond by making the journey more difficult. Metabolism seems to slow, injuries occur at crucial moments, or emotional eating patterns intensify. The very focus on the problem energetically reinforces it. Consider how this works with weight loss specifically. Two people might follow identical diet and exercise programs, yet achieve vastly different results. The one who approaches it with obsessive importance, checking the scale multiple times daily and panicking over every fluctuation, often experiences frequent setbacks. The one who makes healthy choices while maintaining perspective, who doesn't let their happiness depend on reaching a specific number, often finds the weight comes off almost effortlessly. The physical actions are the same, but the energetic context is completely different. This principle also applies to healing from illness or injury. Those who become identified with their condition, who make it the center of their existence and live in constant fear of symptoms, often find healing elusive. They create excess potential around their illness, which the universe balances by maintaining or even intensifying the condition. Meanwhile, those who acknowledge their condition while refusing to let it define them, who maintain interests and joy beyond their health challenges, often experience surprising improvements. The creative process is particularly sensitive to excess potential. Writers who put excessive pressure on themselves to produce a masterpiece often face crippling writer's block. Artists who tie their entire identity to their work frequently experience creative droughts. Musicians who desperately need to make it often produce their worst material. The creative flow, like water, cannot be forced. It comes most readily to those who approach their craft with joy and detachment, not desperation and need. Think about children at play. They create effortlessly, building, drawing, imagining, because they haven't yet learned to attach excessive importance to the outcome. They're not worried about whether their creation is good enough or what others will think. They create for the pure joy of creating. This is why childlike playfulness is so often associated with genius. It's a state of minimal excess potential where creative energy flows freely. Even spiritual seeking can create excess potential. Those who become obsessed with enlightenment, who judge themselves harshly for every unspiritual thought or feeling, create the very barriers they seek to overcome. The harder they grasp for transcendence, the more earthbound they become. True spiritual growth comes not from forcing or striving, but from relaxing into the natural flow of existence. This spiritual excess potential often manifests as what we might call seeker syndrome. The perpetual student who accumulates techniques, teachers, and philosophies, but never finds peace. They create importance around the search itself, making their spiritual journey into another form of achievement to be conquered. The very effort to become enlightened becomes the obstacle to enlightenment. The academic world provides another clear example. Students who place excessive importance on grades, who believe their entire future depends on perfect scores, often underperform despite their intelligence and preparation. Test anxiety, mental blocks, and simple mistakes multiply under the pressure of importance. Meanwhile, students who study diligently but maintain perspective, who see grades as feedback rather than identity, often excel with less apparent effort. So, what is the solution? How do we avoid creating excess potential and the problems it brings? The answer is to lower the level of importance you assign to things. This does not mean giving up on your goals or desires. It means approaching them with calmness, detachment, and a sense of proportion. When you want something, allow yourself to desire it, but do not make it the center of your universe. Trust that the universe is abundant and that your needs will be met in the right way and at the right time. This detachment is not indifference. There's a crucial distinction between not caring and not being attached to a specific outcome. Imagine a skilled archer drawing their bow. They aim carefully, use proper technique, and release the arrow with intention. But once the arrow leaves the bow, they don't try to guide it with their mind or tense up with anxiety about where it will land. They've done their part. Now they trust physics to do the rest. This is the kind of detachment we need in life, full engagement in the process, combined with trust in the outcome. The practice of reducing importance requires a shift in how we relate to our desires. Instead of, I must have this, we learn to think, it would be nice to have this. Instead of, my life is over if this doesn't work out, we think, if this doesn't work out, something else will. This isn't about lowering standards or giving up on dreams. It's about removing the desperate energy that actually pushes those dreams away. Practice detachment in your work. Give your best effort, but do not tie your self-worth or happiness to the outcome. Enjoy the process and let go of the need to control every detail. If you make a mistake or face criticism, accept it with grace and move forward. Detachment does not mean carelessness. It means acting with integrity and attention while keeping your heart free from anxiety and obsession. Think of it this way. When you're attached to an outcome, you're like a person trying to push a rope. The more you push, the more it bunches up and resists. But when you practice detachment, you're like someone gently pulling a rope. There's still direction and intention, but you're working with the natural properties of reality rather than against them. One practical approach is to cultivate what we might call multiple futures happiness. Instead of believing that only one specific outcome will make you happy, envision several different scenarios that would bring you joy and fulfillment. If your happiness depends on getting one specific job, you've created massive excess potential. But if you can see yourself being happy in several different roles or companies, you've distributed the energetic load. You're no longer putting all your eggs in one basket, energetically speaking. In relationships, replace idealization and dependency with genuine appreciation and unconditional love. Allow others to be themselves and allow yourself to be whole and complete, regardless of external circumstances. When you love without clinging, you create space for true connection and harmony to flourish. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care about people or invest in relationships. It means recognizing that true love is not possessive or desperate. It's like holding a bird in your open palm rather than in a clenched fist. The bird stays not because it's trapped, but because it chooses to. This creates a completely different energetic dynamic, one based on freedom and choice rather than need and fear. A powerful practice for relationships is to regularly remind yourself, I love this person and choose to be with them, but I would be okay without them. This might sound cold, but it's actually the foundation of healthy love. When you know you can survive and even thrive alone, you're free to love without desperation. Your partner feels this energetic freedom and is drawn closer, not pushed away. When you notice yourself creating excess potential, whether through worry, fear, idealization, or resentment, pause and breathe. Remind yourself that everything in life is relative and that no single event or person can determine your happiness or self-worth. Shift your focus from what you lack to what you already have. Practice gratitude for the small joys and simple pleasures of daily life. Here's a practical technique. When you catch yourself thinking, I must have this, or I can't stand that, consciously rephrase your thought. Instead of, I must get this job, try, "It would be nice to get this job, and I'll give it my best shot." Instead of, "I can't stand my current situation," try, "My current situation isn't ideal, but I can work with it while moving towards something better." This simple linguistic shift can dramatically reduce excess potential. Another powerful tool is the practice of energetic release. When you feel yourself getting tense or desperate about something, physically imagine releasing that energy. You might visualize opening your hands and letting the excess importance flow out like water. Or imagine breathing out the tension with each exhale. The physical act of release helps train your energetic body to let go of excess potential. The zoom-out technique is also valuable. When something feels overwhelmingly important, imagine zooming out to see your life from a broader perspective. Will this matter in 5 years? In 10? On your deathbed? This doesn't minimize genuine concerns, but it helps put them in proportion. Most of what we create excess potential around turns out to be far less significant than we believed in the moment. Regular meditation or mindfulness practice naturally reduces excess potential. When you train your mind to observe thoughts and emotions without immediately identifying with them, you create space between yourself and your desires. This space is where freedom lives, the freedom to want something without being enslaved by the wanting. Remember, the law of balance is always at work. When you reduce importance, you allow the natural flow of the alternative space to guide you effortlessly toward your goals. Obstacles dissolve, opportunities appear, and life becomes smoother and more joyful. You become a co-creator with the universe, rather than a struggler against it. This shift in approach can feel counterintuitive at first. We've been conditioned to believe that the harder we push, the more we'll achieve. But reality transurfing reveals a different truth. The universe responds not to force, but to alignment. When you're in harmony with the flow of reality, things that once seemed impossible become effortless. Doors that were locked suddenly open. People who could help you appear at just the right moment. Solutions to problems arise spontaneously in your mind. This is not magic or wishful thinking. It's simply how reality operates when we stop creating energetic distortions through excess potential. Think of it like swimming in a river. When you swim against the current with desperate strokes, you exhaust yourself and make little progress. But when you work with the current, using it to amplify your efforts, you can cover vast distances with minimal effort. The practice of reducing importance also has profound effects on your inner state. When you're not constantly creating excess potential, you experience less anxiety, less frustration, and less disappointment. You begin to move through life with a sense of ease and flow that may have eluded you for years. Challenges still arise, but they no longer feel like existential threats. You handle them with grace and creativity, rather than panic and force. This inner calm has a ripple effect on every area of your life. Your decision-making improves because you're not clouded by desperation or fear. Your relationships deepen because others can relax in your presence. Your creativity flows more freely because you're not blocked by perfectionism or fear of failure. Even your physical health often improves as the constant stress of excess potential is released from your system. This state of balanced importance also makes you more attractive to others, not just romantically, but in all areas of life. People are drawn to those who are centered and calm, who pursue their goals without desperation. When you're not creating excess potential, you radiate a kind of quiet confidence that others find magnetic. Opportunities begin to seek you out rather than the other way around. Consider how this works in professional settings. The job candidate who walks into an interview thinking, "I really hope I get this job, but I'll be fine either way," often performs better than the one thinking, "I must get this job or my life is ruined." The relaxed candidate's energy invites connection and puts interviewers at ease, while the desperate candidate's energy creates tension and distance. As you master the art of reducing importance, you'll notice that synchronicities begin to multiply in your life. The right book falls off the shelf just when you need its wisdom. You randomly meet someone who has exactly the information or connection you've been seeking. These are not coincidences. They're the natural result of being in harmony with the flow of reality, rather than fighting against it. These synchronicities occur because when you're not creating excess potential, you're more open and receptive to the subtle guidance of the universe. Your intuition becomes clearer because it's not clouded by desperation or fear. You notice opportunities that were always there but were invisible to your stressed, importance-laden perception. It's important to understand that reducing importance doesn't mean becoming passive or fatalistic. You still take action, make decisions, and work toward your goals. The difference is in the energy behind your actions. Instead of acting from fear, desperation, or obsession, you act from a place of calm certainty and trust. You do what needs to be done, then let go and allow the universe to respond. This approach actually makes you more effective, not less. When you're not wasting energy on worry and excessive importance, you have more energy available for productive action. When you're not clouded by desperation, you make better decisions. When you're not pushing people away with needy energy, you build better relationships and networks. The journey of mastering excess potential is ongoing. Even those who understand the principle intellectually still find themselves creating importance in new and subtle ways. The key is not to judge yourself for this, but to gently notice and adjust. Each time you catch yourself creating excess potential and choose to release it, you strengthen your ability to maintain balance. This principle applies even to the practice of reality transurfing itself. If you become obsessed with perfectly implementing every technique, constantly monitoring yourself for excess potential, you've created a new form of importance. The goal is not perfection but progress, not rigid adherence but flexible application. Trust the process, apply what you learn, and allow your understanding to deepen naturally over time. Some people worry that reducing importance means they'll lose their drive or ambition. This is a misunderstanding. Reducing importance doesn't diminish your desires or goals. It simply removes the desperate, needy energy around them. You can still want success, love, health, and abundance. You can still work toward these things with passion and commitment. The difference is that your happiness and self-worth no longer depend on achieving them. This shift actually makes you more likely to achieve your goals, not less. When you're not creating resistance through excess potential, the path to your desires becomes clearer and more direct. When you're not repelling opportunities with desperate energy, they flow to you more readily. When you're not exhausting yourself with worry and strain, you have more energy for effective action. As we conclude this exploration of excess potential, remember that this is not about judgment or self-criticism. We all create excess potential. It's part of the human condition. The goal is simply to become more aware of when we're doing it and to gently adjust our approach. Each time you catch yourself creating importance and choose to release it, you're developing a skill that will serve you for the rest of your life. The universe is not your adversary, fighting against your desires. It's your partner, always seeking balance and harmony. When you align yourself with this fundamental principle, you transform from a struggling individual into a conscious co-creator of reality. This is the promise and the gift of understanding excess potential, not just as a concept, but as a living practice that can transform every aspect of your existence. In our next episode, we'll explore the concept of importance in even greater depth, examining its specific types and manifestations, and learning practical techniques for reducing it in every area of your life. You'll discover how to maintain enthusiasm for your goals while avoiding the trap of excessive importance, and how to navigate life's challenges with grace and ease. Remember, desire but do not cling. Pursue but do not obsess. Let go, and let the flow of life carry you. When you master the balance between caring and detachment, between effort and ease, you unlock a way of living that is both deeply fulfilling and surprisingly effortless. This is the art of transurfing. Not forcing reality to conform to your will, but dancing with it in perfect harmony. When you reduce importance and eliminate excess potential, you don't give up on your dreams. Instead, you create the optimal conditions for those dreams to manifest naturally, effortlessly, and joyfully in your life. The path forward is clear. Observe your thoughts and emotions, notice when you're creating excess potential, and gently release the importance you've attached to outcomes. Trust that the universe is abundant and that your needs will be met in perfect timing. Act with intention, but without desperation. Love deeply, but without clinging. Dream boldly, but without making your happiness contingent on specific results. This is not just a philosophy. It's a practical approach to living that can transform your daily experience. When you master the art of balanced importance, you'll find that life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance. You'll discover that the very things you've been chasing so desperately often come to you effortlessly once you release the excess potential around them. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your journey to mastering excess potential begins with your next thought, your next emotion, your next choice. Will you choose importance and struggle, or balance and flow? The universe is waiting to dance with you. All you need to do is relax your grip and trust the music. This is the true secret of reality transurfing. Not to conquer reality, but to harmonize with it. Not to force your will upon the universe, but to align your will with the universe's natural tendency toward balance and flow. When you do this, you don't just achieve your goals, you transcend the very struggle that most people believe is necessary for achievement. Welcome to a new way of being. Welcome to life without excess potential. Welcome to the flow.